We got to have a claim.
All right, we are live, Michael. We are live and in living color. Michael Knight over there in Pasadena, California.
New York Vinnie's right there. He's in Seattle, Washington, in the great state of Washington. And
together we are Mikey and Vinnie.
And today I'm wearing a blanket over my poor little legs because it's cold here in Southern California. And I cannot abide it. I do not abide the cold. After 3 winters of ice in Wenatchee, that's it. I vowed no more winter for me. And yet here in California apparently wants to change with the seasons. And it's very abrupt and discombobulating.
It's a new world order, Michael. And that includes, when they used to have a new world order, excuse me, I had to pick something up. They didn't use weather. The weather stayed the same. Maybe the presidents or the dictators or the leading country changed, but the whole new world order thing, the weather always stayed the same. If you went to the shores of a beach in Argentina in 1928, it was probably going to be the same if you went there in 1968. Right?
I never knew this. I never knew.
Now, New World Order includes a change in weather. You got stuff happening in places that you never saw before. Snow and where it doesn't snow, ice where it doesn't ice, rain where it's not supposed to rain, sunshine when it's supposed to be raining, warm. The whole thing.
So it's sunny and warm in London, is what you're saying.
I didn't check the London weather this morning, but it wouldn't shock me if it was 62 and beautiful. People were hanging out in Hyde Park with their tops off.
Dear me.
Well, that'd be something to see, though.
All I can say about this program is live and learn. Mikey and Vinnie take on the world, but there's also nuggets of information that you can use throughout your broadcast day that you can capitalize on. Amaze your friends, stun your enemies.
Yeah.
Fascinate passersby on the street.
Yeah, I always try to say, Michael, that you'll be smarter when you finish listening to the show than you will be at the end of it. Might not be us that does that, but that's the general thing, is that you'll be smarter, you'll be a little bit more educated.
Well, I see by my calculations that 30 years ago today, I asked Kristen to marry me on St. Valentine's Day, and I'll be damned, it worked out.
30 years ago today, you proposed.
I proposed in front of our place in Tiburon.
Really?
Yep.
And did she have take us back a second. Was it did you get down on your knee?
Yep.
And did you had a ring?
No, I had flowers.
Well, flowers help. Flowers is a good way to go. And she took you up on the first offer, or did she make you work a little?
No, once at bat, I got a hit.
There you go. Well, congratulations. Yes, that is a union that has worked out, I would say, quite well.
So, and that takes me back to grammar school, where everybody was exchanging Valentines. Those are harsh reality days when the kids. I know my granddaughter Kennedy is taking a lot of balloons and gifts to school today to impress upon her Valentines that she thinks highly of them. There's a lot of social pressure on a day like that.
Yeah, I remember it from first grade and second grade. It was, number one, you had to come up with, the cards. Number two, you had to write them. Number three, you had to give them out in an interesting manner.
So you didn't show your hand.
Yeah, you didn't because you didn't want, Jeannie Pike to know that you were also giving a Valentine to Debbie Dumont. You didn't want that all to mix up.
You think Debbie Dumont voted last night representing the great?
I don't know if she's in that neighborhood, if she's in that district. I think she might be a little further out on Long Island, but I think that if she was voting, she probably would have, if that were her vote, I would hope and pray that she would have voted for Tom Swazi, who is a well-known name in
he has to go to work today. He has to get to Washington and get to
yeah,
work.
they want to swear him in tomorrow. I wonder if he gets like George Santos's old office and his old
That's
chair.
what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. Do you have to work out of Santos' office, or will they turn it into a cloakroom?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what it must smell like in there.
It smells like English leather.
Yeah, brute, English leather, Dracar Noir,
Canoe.
Old Spice.
Yeah, it's kind of an Old Spice day.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's but it makes me laugh though. I do have to laugh about it because now every prognosticator, every political pundit is trying now to predict the election, the 2024 presidential election, on what happened last night in New York 3.
Well, it helps.
And I don't know that it means anything, to be honest with you. I don't think it's. I mean, I just these are districts. New York City is always tough on immigration, so you're always going to win on immigration. I can only imagine that it's going to be more that way now that the city, Manhattan, is inundated with refugees, people that are running from something, and a few of them decide to beat up cops, which is never a good look because that's only going to turn people against you.
Yeah.
And then I read this morning that one of the refugees who was arrested for beating up the cops got arrested again this morning for robbing somebody in Queens.
Wow.
So he's making a name for himself.
Well, it's not easy living out of your backpack, but
Yeah, I mean,
you can't take the lessons you learn south of the border to New York and hope to capitalize on. I can understand your mistrust of the police. You're gonna have to roll with the punches on this one, if you forgive
yeah,
the
yeah,
phrase.
yeah. You got to do what they say.
Yeah.
And I mean, and compared to the police that they must have known in whatever country they were from, New York City Police, NYPD, are, I would think, a breeze.
Or angels compared to what they've learned about people in
Yeah.
uniform.
I would think that whole thing is, but yes, you do have to obey the police. But
Well, the reason the prognosticators are using your great election in Queens and Nassau County as an indicator of the 2024 election is because that spot on the map has gone Democrat, Republican, and each time it flips, it goes almost by 10 points the other way. So if it had the Republican candidate won by 10 points, it would not have been out of the realm of possibility. It would have been just what this district has done in the past. It goes for Biden, it goes for Obama, it goes for Trump, it goes for crying out loud, George Santos.
Yeah.
So
don't mess his name because then you're gonna have 9 guys named George Sanchez calling us up and saying, "Hey, what are you doing here?" People showing up at my house.
Can we take the 10th caller instead of the 9th caller?
Sure, why not?
Just keep in mind, give us a ring right now and a phone number that does not exist, and we'll take the 10th caller.
We'll take the 10th caller at
George Santos, not Sanchez. Yes. So with the fact that it went back last night by 20 points to the Democratic side is an indication that the good people of Queens and Nassau County had motivation to make sure that somebody different got into office this time. At this most important.
Yes. Oh, somebody. Yeah. Did was it that much? I didn't think it was that much. The margin of victory. I thought it was only around whichever way it is. Yeah. even if you beat him by 1 point, it would have been good.
So that's why
Um,
it's being used as an indicator of things to come. Now, that doesn't mean that strictly red states are going to change their stripes, but in battleground states like that we've heard so much about, Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, then it'll give you some indicator of what will happen. And here's a physical illustration of what I'm talking about, Vinny. Here is my California ballot.
yeah.
We're just going to fill this out, take it down to the city hall, and put it in the big receptacle for votes. And this is how you change what's happening in this country right now. This is how you equalize what's been going on in Donald Trump's mind and what he has planned for you and your family. This is what Elise Strakanowitz, whatever her nose is, from New York, the crazy woman, Stefanik.
Stefanik, yeah. Elise Stefanik.
This is what she does not want to see. She doesn't want to see you dealing with a ballot. She doesn't want to see you voting independently and intelligently. She wants something far darker, far more odious, and far more damaging to the future of the world. And this is the only way to stop her. It's the only way to stop Donald Trump. It's the only way to stop what's been going on in your world. And so Chris and I are going to fill this out, not this one, but both of them.
Good.
And I will deliver them personally. I will deliver them personally. And you can count on my vote making a difference.
Now, is that the California primary ballot?
Yes.
So
we're voting for Senator Adam
Steve
Schiff,
Garvey, right?
He's on the ballot. That's all I can say about Steve Garvey. His tenure, despite the fact that he's a Trump head and a totally unreliable human being, he is also a Los Angeles Dodger, and no Dodger gets my vote.
I was gonna say that I couldn't believe that you would vote for him, because in California it works a little bit differently than many states. You get to choose. There's no party delineations, right? They just run
an open ballot.
Yeah, open ballot. So even if you're a Democrat and you wind up being a Dodger fan, you could vote for Steve Garvey. I saw the debate between him and
Schiff.
No, it was Katie
Porter.
Katie Porter, yes. And I was not impressed with him.
Now, he's a tool.
I would have thought that he would have been a lot more polished than he was. And, here's a guy who thinks he's going to get it because he's Steve Garvey.
That's exactly what he thinks.
Yeah. I mean, and it came through on him. He didn't come through as a guy who was wanted to go to Washington to work to make things better. He wanted to go to Washington because it would give him an ego boost, and he could once again be in the limelight.
Be somebody.
Just like Tommy Tuberville.
You ain't Duke Snyder, and you're not going to win anyway, so it doesn't matter. Even if you were somehow Steve Garvey and Duke Snyder at the same time, it's not going to work out for you.
I don't think Duke wanted to run for anything. Duke never hit me as a guy. He wanted to run away from everything, except debate appearances.
He didn't want to go first to third. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, he showed up on Old Timers Day and, got to, I'm not even going to go into the Duke Snyder story. You've heard it before, I'm sure. And today is a day of love, so I'm not going to go into the Duke Snyder story.
Speaking of baseball, I'm wearing this hat and this shirt. This is my Grateful Dead giant shirt.
I see that.
Because we have a new slugger, Jorge Soler. And I'm trying to think, his claim to fame is he came up with Kansas City. He played for Atlanta. He just came from Miami. He's now a San Francisco Giant.
Right,
This
he's been
guy,
around.
this guy's a slugger in the classic sense of a slugger. When's the last time the Giants had somebody who hit 40 home runs a year? And I think you have to
His
go
name was Bonds, I believe. I don't think anybody's hit 40 there since Bonds.
Bonds, and before Bonds, it was McCovey. We've had home run hitters,
Right.
but we haven't had a slugger that can do 40 a year, and now we
And
do.
well, it wasn't Kingman played the same time as McCovey. I don't know that he hit 40 with the Giants.
No, he wasn't with the Giants that long. In fact, when Kingman came up, he was the third baseman. Hard
Yeah.
to believe, given his defensive prowess.
Which was not good. I
Back to
remember
Duke Snyder.
nobody would sit when he played first base for the Mets. Nobody would sit behind first base because he missed quite a few.
Be a great team to have Steve Sachs at short and Dave Kingman at first. There'd be nobody on the lower deck.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of kids with mitts.
Really. Otherwise, anybody with any sense is going to sit upstairs. The beer is $2 cheaper, and you're not going to get a ball in it.
Don't get a ball on the side of the head when you're saying, "What did you say, dear?" Thunk.
Oh man. Well, the Giants seem to have put together. I don't want to say a great team. I mean, their unfortunate path is that they're stuck in a division with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers spent every dime that they ever made on players that they had this year.
Trying to beat the curse of Chavez Ravine, but it shall not be beaten. There's a Hawaiian phrase: too much hoo-hoo, too much sweat, too much trouble, too much angst, too much spheres, too much trouble. And Hawaiians don't like that. No hoo-hoo, no sweat about this thing. And the Dodgers have added sweat to their offseason, and I think it's going to come back to haunt them. Too much gold, too much bling, too much hoo-hoo.
Well, they've put this superstar team together. And one of the things that always interests me when they do this, when you have these different teams that do this, and we've seen it a million times.
Often with the Yankees.
Yeah, often with the Yankees. It's an old story in New York. And the thing that worked in New York is you always had Billy Martin to keep everybody in line because he was the one that wanted to get out of line. So, I had to make sure he was keeping everybody else in line.
You had to keep your eye on Billy. Don't take your eye off Billy. Your job is to know where Billy Martin is if you're in the dugout.
Exactly. And it's just such a tough thing to manage. Now, throw in the added thing here that you have players from a few different countries. And does that make it even harder? And even though Ohtani is he's been here long enough that he knows the ropes. I don't know. Sometimes that can be a little interesting. It can be there are things that come up when you have multicultural clubhouses, and I'm not saying they're bad, but there's stuff that comes up. Language. This guy gets an interpreter. How come I don't? There's little issues that come up that I've seen before in a clubhouse.
Well, we have a new Korean center fielder, Jung-Hoo Lee.
Right.
And he's speaking English. He has gone to the trouble to learn the language of the country that he's playing in. Now, that's not easy for everybody. It's probably not easy for Ohtani. I don't know. It seems like he should be taking intensive English lessons because it's going to pay off for him. But he's going to be a factor in our success if we have success. Jung-Hoo Lee. He's a hitter. He's a factor. He's a young, dynamic center fielder. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got all the things that you need to be a star. And he's virtually unknown because while Ohtani and others got the headlines for the offseason signings, he came in kind of quietly. He made his choice.
Yeah.
And he's part of the three big changes to the team. Bob Melvin, the manager, Junhoo Lee, the center fielder, and now Jorge Solar, who will probably be designated hitter. Although I guess he can play first base.
Yeah, which still riles me. It still doesn't feel right to say that in the National League. I'm sorry. It's
No,
just
I'm with you on that.
yeah. It's just it seems to go against every baseball grain in my body to say that there's a National League team with a designated hitter. It's
Well,
wrong.
the National League asked the question, dear San Francisco, would you rather have John Montefusco at bat or Jorge Solar?
Well, yeah, I mean, but if you want to see that, go over to the American League. Watch the American League. To me, it's always been a thrill when a pitcher comes up to bat because you never know what's going to happen.
Speaking of going to the American League, the Oakland A's announced their play-by-play announcer, and it's Debbie Kapner.
Who, by all accounts, is a woman.
True. First time this has ever happened in Major League Baseball.
Now,
if the Oakland A's,
announcer.
If the Oakland A's can only get some station to carry their games, that would be good.
That's the other thing. Who's going to hear her? I mean, are they going to go back to the? Are they going to go back to KALX, to KALX, where they broadcast their games one year?
They just didn't take their games in the home radio seriously. They just didn't.
I don't. Well, I think last year, maybe I'm wrong, but I think last year they were online only. Or there was talk. Maybe somebody picked up their rights at the last minute.
What about the game? Didn't the game have them at one time?
Yeah, they had them at one time, but after they announced that they were going, and by the way, that whole thing is turned into an interesting quagmire.
It's a kettle of fish.
It's
dead fish.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing because all of a sudden Vegas turned around and while they were basking in the glow of the Super Bowl,
said we're not financing this. We're not giving you public money.
We told you we were going to throw a little money your way, but now we're not really throwing anything your way. So now the A's are in the process of having to negotiate a lease extension.
And from the people they told, we hate you and we're gone.
Right. From the people that they told, you suck, we're out of here. And listen, I don't disagree that Oakland, probably shouldn't have a Major League Baseball team. That city has enough problems that they got to figure it out.
They should call them the Oakland Oaks instead of the Oakland A's.
You could call them the Oakland. We'll give you $5 to come to a game, and I don't know that anybody would go.
Is that $5 for every game I come to?
Every game you come to, we give you $5. I mean, that's what it's going to take to get people over there this year. Whether they come from Hayward, whether they come from San Leandro, whether they come from San Francisco or San Mateo, wherever they come from, it's going to take them something to draw people to the games.
What sort of owner must the A's have to say you're moving without having a place to go? Say you've got a deal when you don't have a deal. Claim to have a financial backing for the construction of a stadium on the Strip where it makes sense to put a casino, because casinos make money in Oakland. The Oakland A's do not. Certainly the Las Vegas A's aren't that much of a draw yet. And then have the whole thing blow up. They don't have the money. They don't have the lot. They don't have the stadium. They don't have a place to go. They have to stay in Oakland because they have no home.
Well, what they're finding out is, I guess, what Las Vegas is finding out, that the guy who owns the team, John Fisher,
is an idiot.
Not an easy dude to deal with. And you can, he's looking for the grandest deal he can get, I'm sure. And, Vegas says, you need us. We don't need you. I mean,
Right.
we're gonna have to sit. They took in $1.2 billion in tourism last week in Vegas.
And that's just the declared money. God knows what they really made.
Right. That's just the money you know about. Nobody knows what the money under the table was. They broke a record for tourism for the Super Bowl. They don't need the Oakland A's. They don't need Major League Baseball.
And plus, you don't get the Oakland A's. You pay for the Oakland A's. You pay for them to play ball in your city, and you
Right.
pay 1 point something billion for the prize. What kind of a deal is that? You know, Vegas likes to see the money up front. They like to know what their cut is. They like to know what the vig is. They like to know what the angle is. They like to know what the shaver is. They like to know what the take under the table is. Well, there's none of that. You pay us, and maybe we'll play baseball in Vegas. That's not the kind of deal that Vegas enjoys or is famous for.
Well, it will be interesting to see how this works out because now there's talk again of reviving the Howard Terminal deal. The mayor of Oakland has said that she wants the team to stay there. And that she'd like to see a new owner, which is always a good way to negotiate. But she says, and again, that one of the reasons that they have trouble with this whole situation is that the owner is, he'll get to a place to do a deal, and then he backs out. I mean, by all accounts, they had something almost all set to go with the Howard Terminal site, which I think would be a dynamite site.
And where exactly is that? Oakland waterfront?
That's west of Jack London Square. It's right alongside Bart. And if you're standing in Jack London Square, you walk, is it west or north? I can't. Well, that would be going west. But it's toward San Francisco.
So it's
It's
right on the
between the
water.
Alameda Air Base,
Yeah.
not the Alameda, the air base that's down there,
Right.
and near where the train terminal is, the Amtrak terminals. It's somewhere right around there, and so. But again, the bottom line for me is how can Oakland spend a dime on this thing?
They can't.
I mean, Oakland's got no money to spend here.
They've got the land, which they could offer up with an agreement that'd be paid by the revenue created by the team.
Right. I don't think.
But remember how they treated their fans. They said, "We're going, and you may be upset, but we don't give a damn
Right.
how you feel. We're gone."
Well, not only that, but I mean, Oakland is a dangerous place to go.
Well,
There are
Jack,
not a lot of
London's,
people who are saying, let's go to Oakland. As a matter of fact, In-N-Out Burger just announced that they're closing their store in Oakland.
right.
Too many problems.
Nothing but hoo-hoo.
So I don't know. Again, the only viable thing to me that and this is just my opinion, but I think that the only way that the Oakland A's stay in the Bay Area is that if they can figure something out with the Giants and get them to give up, let them move down to San Jose. That to me is the only, or Mountain View or something, in that area down there. That to me is the only way.
You're never going to do it.
I just don't see. I don't see Oakland. I just don't see it in Oakland, man. I don't see it in Oakland. And
the stadium issue is the killer for this whole deal. They can't stay where they are and make money. The facility in the venue just doesn't create that kind of money from the corporate boxes.
Right.
And what corporation wants to support the Oakland A's right now? Here, we got tickets to the game. Fantastic. I love the Giants. No, these are Oakland A tickets. Give them to the kids.
Yeah, I mean, they ruined the stadium when they put up when they decided that they were going to kiss Al Davis's ass. to get him to come back. So they put up that monstrosity in center field and ruined the stadium. It's, the stadium is old. It was built in what, 65, 66, something like that. And as stadiums go, that's pretty old.
Pretty old.
And it ain't Wrigley Field. You can't look at that stadium and say, well, it's the treasured.
Just a cement dump.
Yeah, it was done on it was done as ballparks were done in those days. To be a multi-purpose stadium, and that's just fallen out of. So anyway, I just don't get that VAs are going to figure out where to go if they don't go to Vegas, or if they stay in Oakland. Again, I just don't get that Oakland can get them a ballpark. Matter of fact, the way things are, I don't think I think the days of municipally funded stadiums are coming to an end.
Well, the good example is that Vegas has already put their money into the Raiders stadium.
Yeah.
They paid $1 billion more for that. And football's a different game. The use of that stadium is not for sport only. They can create a lot of revenue by doing concerts there, motocross, racing.
Yeah, which you can do to a certain degree in a baseball stadium, but not as much because you have how many dates in the summer when the big concert tours are out there are taken up by baseball games.
And if you remember, Bill Graham made a deal out of concerts on the green, which were all at Oakland Stadium.
Right.
But when he was through with it, nobody picked up the torch. Nobody said, let's continue that. Nobody said, let's continue the summer series of rock concerts in the Bay Area. And they used to sell those out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a picture somewhere. I just found it.
Day on the green.
Logo of the Oakland Coliseum just plumb loaded with people. And I saw some great shows there, man. I saw The Who there. I saw Springsteen there. Guns N' Roses. I mean, the Grateful Dead. I think the Grateful Dead were there. Or I think I saw them there. Yeah.
I saw you guys.
So, yeah, I think that, Mikey, I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be interesting to watch. They've pissed off their fans.
That they have done. They burned all their bridges.
They burned all their bridges. I know people who are, serious Oakland A's fans that want nothing to do with them anymore. They just feel slighted. So, and even if they go to Vegas, they're going to have to figure out somewhere to play for the next 3 years or 2 years.
They'll be playing at a high school.
Yeah. And they'll be able to fit the crowd in there.
With room to spare.
I mean, their best bet at this point is to go up to Sacramento and play for a couple of years.
Can't do it. It's AAA for Giants.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you can't go to San Jose because it's single A for Giants.
Yeah, see, that's just the worst deal ever, man. That's, it kind of, I mean, I would think that the Giants would help them out, but, it's not how it works in business, right?
Well, the owner of the A's, his name I can't recall right now. His name will
John Fisher.
John Fisher has not made any friends in baseball. He doesn't have.
It doesn't seem like it. No, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that are that he's beloved by many, and he's already said that he doesn't want to sell the club. So I'm just, it's just I have to laugh at the mayor of the city who is, full on with this thing. Um, and when there's so many other problems there's so many things in Oakland. I mean, it's not that okay, we'll hire 100 more police or something like that. Now, and on top of it, now the mayor in Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman, I'm sure that's Oscar Goodman's daughter. How much you want to bet? Was quoted in a podcast with Front Office Sports as saying that she believes that the A's plans at the Tropicana site don't make sense because of traffic concerns, adding that the team should stay in Oakland. Now, of course, she's not the mayor of where they want to put the ballpark up, because the Strip technically is not in Oakland. It's not in Las Vegas.
It's in Paradise. It's in the county.
Well, it's in a town. Excuse me. It's in a town called Paradise, which was created, after they started putting the casinos downtown. There was land out there, and I guess Vegas didn't want to put the sewers in, didn't put this in, so the people got together, and they said, okay, well, we're going to have our own town. And this is when nobody was on the Strip. And, it was US, 95 that ran through there. Now, it's a whole, it's worth a little bit more money than it was then.
It's a going concern.
The going concern. So it sounds like just a huge quagmire. By the way, Goodman had to retract that statement, saying that she was excited about the team coming to Las Vegas. It's so Vegas, man.
Why are you excited? Well, it's going to be interesting to find out where the boys stay, what they do, how they play the game, and then when the Kansas City Royals come to town, where are they going to stay? Where are they going to play? Where can they meet the A's for a game?
No, see, I'm sure it actually happened. At six of her father's friends called her up and said, "What the hell are you, crazy? Shut your mouth."
It's going down the toilet anyway. Just let it go.
Yeah, we don't need you to screw this thing up. Anyway, so she recommended that the A's should have a nice new ballpark on the water in Oakland.
Paid for by the city of Las Vegas.
Well, City of Paradise. Now, I guess the state and the governor have come up with a $380 million funding bill. But the teachers union has gotten involved. Saying, wait a second, if you're going to come up with $380 million for something, maybe you ought to come up with $380 million for education.
For the people of Nevada.
Yeah, maybe you ought to come up with $380 million to lower some tuition costs here. Maybe you ought to come up with $380 million to get the kids some lunch instead of that rat meat that we're putting through between two loaves of stale bread.
And interestingly enough, Nevada has one of the worst, it ranks in the 40s of all the state schools. All the schools of all states compared, they're in the bottom 10.
Yeah. I mean, So again, you come up with this scenario where, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I can't see how any municipality in this day and age will come up with millions of dollars to build a ballpark. and they're going to go with $380 million. I mean, the ballpark is still going to cost $1 billion.
And plus, parking on the strip is. I would like to see. I would like to see the parking facility because it's going to have to be equal to the task, and it's going to take the whole city block itself.
Yeah, and you're not going to get, and I know where the Trop is, and you're not going to get, you know, 30,000 people in and out of that stadium at 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
5 days a week.
um, easily. On top of it, when you have your weekend games, let's say you have games at night, because you're going to have a lot of night games in Oakland. Unless they dome the stadium, you're going to have a lot of night games. And I will tell you from experience that the strip gets pretty busy on Friday and Saturday night.
Folks show up.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying that you go to the strip in Vegas on a Friday and Saturday night, and there's a lot of cars.
Well, that's why all the parking and entrance and access is going to have to be one full block off the strip, whichever way the Trop is facing the land.
Yeah, I just don't. Well, and I guess they have a lot across the street. Have
you ever tried to cross the strip?
Well, they'll build a bridge over. It's what they do now. There's several bridges that go over the strip. Oh yes, I have tried. I have crossed the strip many times, and it's not easy.
No, you got to be patient.
You got to be patient, and you got to be quick. I don't know if I could imagine myself trying to cross the strip now. With using a cane. I mean, that might be an interesting proposition there.
Better to take a cab to get across the street.
Yeah. You know what? I've seen people that have taken cabs from one side of like there's another casino across the street. They get in the back of a cab. Take me over to the
Let's go to
Frontier.
Caesars. Yeah.
Take me over to Frontier, and they were on. And they were at Circus or something like that, which is across the street, or the next block up. But
do you think that the Oakland A's looking for a home is exactly what our government is talking about, saying we have a national security threat that they can't tell us about, that's classified, that they want settled soon, and they want the House of Representatives to vote on the funding for the money for Taiwan, Israel, and Ukraine, and they want it done now. And they don't want this new national security threat to go unheeded. That they need Mike Johnson and his band of merry Republicans to do something that they are averse to doing, which is their job. He wants them to actually vote the money for that $96 billion. Is it 96 or 86?
I forget. Well, I think this is kind of nuts, actually. This is a really weird thing. I guess
the national security threat.
Anything. They were calling Congress people in to take a look at what the threat is, and then some guy, I forget who it was, tweets out that they have to that there's an emergency. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a little nervous. Like, what? I mean, what is the emergency? Are rockets? Are they pointing rockets toward us? I mean, now you got to say what the emergency is.
Well,
and you got to say it quick.
You don't have to say it, because if it's classified, there's a reason for that.
Right.
In other words, talking about it would make it only worse. So who's ever responsible on the Republican side for their tweets has to get a grip on their reality. By the way, if you're a member of Congress and I brief you on a national security threat and you tweet it and you blurt it out, you break our confidence. What's the penalty on you?
Well, treason, isn't it? Isn't that treason?
Treason is only acceptable in the time of war.
Isn't that
you can't commit
high
treason.
Crimes and misdemeanors?
It might be a high crime.
Where are we in this world today, in this government today, where everybody feels and listen, this is going to be the ruination of the world. Everybody feels that they got to run to social media and put it on social media.
Well,
I mean, what
if you
gratification do you get?
if you were the CIA, would you tell Mike Johnson the truth about this national security threat, classified as it is? Would
I
you
don't know that
trust
I
him?
tell Mike Johnson the truth about it. I wouldn't tell Mike Johnson if he was trailing a piece of toilet paper from his heel.
Definitely not. Let him trail it all day.
He could keep that sucker on there all day. But here we are now. We have some idiot congressman who's decided to like we don't have enough crap going on in this country.
Is it funnier if it's just 3 sheets of toilet paper or if it's like 8 sheets of toilet paper?
I think it's funnier if you have like 8 sheets. It's the funniest though is if you walk out of the bathroom and it's still attached to the roll.
That's good. That's
I mean,
rare, but it happens.
that's the ultimate funny it can get when you're still dragging the roll along with you. Not hard to do. It's hard to do, but not impossible.
Same thing with the Oakland A's deal. It's not impossible, but it's going to be very hard to do.
It's going to be very hard to do. Well, they're saying that the Oakland A's possible interim homes, and this is in the Athletic now, are saying that
Bozeman, Montana.
let's see. Well, here's the problem. The A's stand to lose $70 million a year in local television revenue if they leave the Bay Area before the end of their contract with NBC Sports California. The contract runs through 2033. They could get a revised TV package if they go to Vegas or Sacramento or Salt Lake City, which Sacramento and Salt Lake City are candidates to be the team's interim home.
That would be interesting, Salt Lake City, because they are the Bees. The Oakland A's would become the Salt Lake City Bees, and then maybe the Chicago Seas or the
I
Duluth
think you probably
D's.
have to keep the. Well, you'd have, or you know what you could do. You could have both teams play in the ballpark on alternate homestands. You
Yeah,
could
have
call
an
it
A-B schedule.
the A's and the B's.
A-B schedule.
Now there's also talk in here about if they remain in the Bay Area that they might split the park with the Giants for a couple of years. I don't see that happening. I mean, I remember when the Giants were looking for a ballpark, they talked about the Giants going over to the Coliseum for a couple of years, right? And that was a no-go. So, here's the best one. The mayor says if they stay and want to play in Oakland in the interim, I've always talked about how the name should remain here in Oakland, and that we should be teed up to have an expansion team.
Oh, God. Well, there's the Oakland Oaks for you.
Am I missing something?
Oakland says, we're a great place for a team. Come and wed your fortunes to our own.
Am I missing something? Is Oakland a better place than I'm thinking? And I just aren't thinking about it?
Probably in the long run, with a new stadium, it could be a workable marriage. But
maybe I don't know. I know most of the people I know in the Bay Area will not go to Oakland unless they absolutely have to. There's again, it's you can't. It's not like the old days. Even
we're gonna have to have
Ken.
We're gonna have to have Ken Zimmerman on, who lives in Oakland, and find out what he will tell us the unvarnished truth.
Yeah, I just don't get that many people. And again, I know we both know a ton of people in the Bay Area. Most of the people I know that don't live in Oakland, and I know a few people that do live in Oakland, but they live in Piedmont or I'm trying to think of the other section up there, north of Berkeley. Actually not north of Berkeley, but east of Berkeley. Back there off of Route 13. Begins with a C.
Claremont.
Claremont, thank you. Yeah, I just the people I know that live there or live in the Bay Area, they don't want to go to downtown San Francisco. They certainly don't want to go to Oakland.
Might be more to see in Oakland than in downtown San Francisco.
Well, yeah.
this is a mess of the A's making.
Yeah, no sympathy for the A's here at all.
They didn't want to operate their team like other teams did. They thought that getting rid of their stars and playing with a AAA team was financially viable. It's not. They thought they didn't need pitching or hitting because other teams thought it was so valuable that they were willing to pay a fortune for it. Oakland A's were not. They were wrong about that too. They thought they had a home, but there was no deal for that home, and they announced they were moving. That was stupid. Their fans supported them to the end, and they were snubbed for it. They were ridiculed for supporting the team in its final days.
Yeah,
They brought this on themselves.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, the A's thing has been a mess since
Charlie Finley.
The 90s.
Charlie Finley decided that he was angry with his team, so he took Catfish Hunter and everybody else and sold them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a mess since the 90s, early 2000s, where it was the last time that you saw a team down there that was competitive, except for maybe 1 year or 2 years where they got lucky and they were competitive 3/4 of the way into the season. But it's I don't know, it just seems to me to be a joke. Now, one other thing I wanted to bring up is something or anything, something or nothing. Jason Kelce, is taking a lot of heat. I mean, Travis Kelce, excuse me, is taking a lot of heat for the bump with Andy Reid.
He should.
A lot of people are PO'd, and I think rightly so.
He's not bulletproof.
He's a bit more bulletproof, I think, than a lot of people in the league because he brought Taylor Swift into the whole deal. But
she didn't.
I don't know. I was always taught that you respect the coach. You don't get in the coach's face like that, especially not on an occasion like that. I mean, that's not a beginning of a season game or an exhibition or something like that. And
you think they're going to? Yeah, you think they're going to catch it if they have 123 cameras working the game? Yes, they will, and they've got it. And he has to be embarrassed by the vehemence of his attack. It wasn't a conversation.
Yeah. It's and he's admitted, I guess, to his brother that it's wrong, that what he did was wrong. I don't know if there's been any apology yet of him publicly to Andy Reid. I'm pretty sure that he must have freaking apologized to him after the bumping incident. He must have came over and said something to him.
He should have. A good time to apologize would be at the parade publicly.
Yeah, well, I think they probably, because I think I saw Reid jumping on top of him after the game. So I think that they probably patched it up to some degree.
Well,
but it's
Andy Reid was busy calling plays. And I think that probably he was so constant, full of his attention on the game and the plays in front of him, that outside distraction, however disruptive it might have been, I think Andy was right back in the game in 2 seconds later. Not that excuses it or makes it a more of a gentle suggestion that he was hearing from his tight end. It was exactly what the team didn't need at that time.
Yeah, it's he says that I guess Andy Reid said that 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 I guess he said it jokingly that Kelsey caught him off balance,
Yes,
and he was just saying, "Just put me in, coach. I'll score. I'll score."
that was allegedly what he was saying.
That's allegedly what he was saying. I'll score. I'll score.
Okay,
That's allegedly what he was saying. I wasn't there, Mikey, so I don't know for sure.
we need the NFL lip reader to help us.
I didn't get my my tickets or my press pass to the Super Bowl this year. Um, Interesting stuff. Anyway, yeah, because we didn't talk too much about it on Monday, but it definitely was something that people were concerned about.
Now imagine that Kansas City lost that game. That would be a far larger blip on the radar.
Yeah, it is, but I gotta wonder if it was anybody but Travis Kelsey.
If it had been
Would
Pacheco,
if it would have been anybody else, but they know that, but the NFL knows that this guy is responsible for increased revenue. I mean, how many more people watched? I mean, this was the most watched Super Bowl, most watched television event ever.
since Apollo 11, since the landing on the moon.
Yeah, I thought it even was bigger than that. I would have to look, but regardless, unbelievable numbers, unbelievable
Incredible,
number of people
incredible
who are
number. And
interested in it because of
yep,
Travis Kelsey and I. I keep wanting to say Britney Spears, but
not even close.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is taller.
Yeah. So I guess they're not. They weren't going to throw in a. Well, I guess you can't throw an unsportsmanlike conduct on them on the sidelines like that, or maybe you couldn't. They just didn't. Um.
If they had wrestled onto the field, they would have thrown a flag.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just think it's. Yeah. I don't think they'll touch him. I think
No,
he's responsible for so much for the NFL this year, the growth of the NFL, that it's almost hard to believe that one individual could do it. I mean, the guy is everywhere.
he's all over television every day.
Yeah, I mean, he is everywhere. You got um, not only Taylor Swift, but he's hosting Saturday Night Live. They got a TV series on Netflix. I mean, it's a money machine.
Yeah,
So the money machine tends to get away with a lot more than if Pacheco would have bumped him.
that's why his brother retired. He said, "I'm just going to be on Travis's show and do a little television, and nobody knocks me down, nobody kicks me, nobody does surgery on my knee."
I'm not going to. I'm not going to get. I'm not going to get my bumped in the head, hit in the head every Sunday for
Yeah.
16 Sundays and more, or 17 Sundays and more, when I could just sit back and count the money.
Plus, you look what my year was like. We were undefeated, and then the Eagles decided they wanted to suck the rest of the year, and I had to put up with that.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty for the Eagles. It yeah, was not pretty. So
So the over under on before 6 o'clock this evening. Will we know about the national security threat? Will there be any further tweets?
yeah, I can't imagine that we don't know about it in the next hour or so. I don't the cat's out of the bag.
And will it be enough to bring Mike Johnson and his GOP revolutionaries in to actually have a vote?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Depending on what it is, I mean, the first thing that's going to happen is Biden's going to have to stand up there and say, this is what it is, because I would have to imagine that I'm not the only one who was sitting here going, what the F is going on now? Do I got to get down in the bomb shelter? Should I go get my kid and head to the country? What's the deal? I
What
can't be
part?
the only one saying that.
What part of the country would you head to, Vinny, when you grab
Well,
your kid
we
and
have
drive
limited
where?
choices here, Michael.
You can't go west very far.
Yeah. I mean, I try to go to Canada, maybe. I mean, that might.
If you go to Spokane, that's Trump country, where they're ready to welcome Vladimir Putin and the Russian troops with open arms.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting a bunting for him. So I don't know about going that way. I think north to Canada, and hope you can get in before the Canadians decide to close their southern border.
Oh, they'll close it. They already did once.
Yeah,
And they made it clear. Why are you closing the border? To keep the Americans out. They're out of their mind. We don't need that up here.
They're running away from Trump. Yeah, I think
Buy our bacon and leave us alone.
Come out and say, listen, this isn't as big as this guy is saying, or it's not a threat, or it's he's blown it out of proportion, or it's a real threat and I got it under control. One way or the other. I think you got to come out and say something at this point, because it's now. I haven't had CNN. I haven't looked at CNN since we started the show, but I got to think that it's catching fire. By the way, not for nothing, but
yes.
Andrea Mitchell had this story a half hour before CNN.
Really? That far?
A full half hour. Because I was watching MSNBC, and Andrea comes on at 9:30, like what's her name from CNN. They both come on at 9:00 with their political show,
right?
And Andrea Mitchell was interviewing. Who the heck was she? Oh, she was talking to one of her reporters, and then she broke into the conversation
with breaking news
and said, we've just been advised that there's a national security risk and yada, yada, yada. And, when you hear that, you just go, I mean, that's akin to we've just been advised that rockets are headed towards Seattle or, San Francisco, right, or whatever. And, it's not beyond the pale of imagination that somebody would try to take advantage of the situation that this country is in right now.
I mean, that's a short list of who would try to take advantage.
List, but it's a list. It's a short list, but it's a list. Now, CNN reported just before we went on the air that the country that was involved was Russia.
Duh.
So, well, I mean, it could be China, could be North Korea. I mean, there's a number of countries that like to get us. Geez, with Trump opening his mouth the way he did last week, you could probably get a couple of European countries that want to.
Because hey, we're not going to fight back. We're just not interested in that any longer.
Yeah, we're gonna close this thing up and fly it off to the moon. Elon Musk is going to take us all to Mars with him. Oh, Michael.
Remember, Mars has no atmosphere, so there are some problems with just breathing.
Well, according to a lot of people, neither does the Tesla plants.
No, it's a place without atmosphere.
There's no atmosphere. No fun.
What about that place where they put the battery in? Nope. Dull as ditch water.
Nope. Nah, nobody even talks to each other there. They just and that's it. 6 screws and they got it in. Next.
If only Boeing could remember that on their plane doors.
Yeah, no lie. Well, it's not Boeing's fault. It's the subcontractor.
The guy in charge of bolts. Bolts is my game, brother. Bolts is all I'm up.
Are you supposed to send that work out, Mikey?
Just make sure
Shouldn't
it
that
gets
be
done.
shouldn't that be something you do instead? I mean, I guess if you want to send mounting the tires up to the tire shop, or you want to send putting the video screens into the video shop, you know, have car toys come down and slap in all those screens. But there's something about bolts.
Do we put in the? Do we? How many bolts is in? One to hold it. Okay, that's all we do. The 6 to secure it seems crazy. It's too many bolts.
Too many bolts. I mean, how much we're paying for those bolts? I mean, those are case hardened bolts, man. Look, they got the little line in it. That's a case hardened bolt, man. That's 75 cents. You know, it's 75 times 200 of these things a day that we're turning out.
Why do they design a plane that has a door that they don't use? It's like, do they have wings that they don't use? Do they have gas tanks that they don't use? Do they have double
Well,
navigation
I would
systems
think
that they don't use?
in some cases, now I don't know this for sure. I think these planes are probably put together like modular,
Mhm.
and that section probably gets used in a 737 stretch and a seven. So in a certain plane, you have to have an exit there. Certain plane, you don't have to have an exit if it's a smaller one. So when you don't have to have an exit, they bang them all out with the exit, and then
And they cover it up.
cover it up accordingly, depending on what plane. I mean, I don't know that for a fact. That would just my knowledge of manufacturing processes. That would be a reasonable assumption that they don't use it on just one type of plane. That they make those things. They're subcontracted. Actually, I think they're made in Indonesia or something like that.
And then while you're holding your child, the air sucks his shirt off. And they just say, you were going to change his shirt anyway. We saved you all the effort.
It's like a sitcom.
I don't
Yep.
understand your secure.
It's like
Why are you so
what
concerned about
sitcom where
that?
the guy's holding the vacuum cleaner and his shirt just comes off and goes in the vacuum.
It's like a Warner Brothers cartoon. Everything gets sucked into the.
Everything is sucked into the vacuum cleaner. My God. I it's still, I mean, I still can't imagine what that kid must have been tthinking.
How about the mother, the one that was
Or
gripping
the
him?
mother, either of them,
Who
when his
saved his
shirt
life?
went out the hole. It was bad enough you got the hole, but Mom,
I'm a little chilly.
cover up, son.
Oh, you're cold? Here's some peanuts.
Kid, listen, Alaska Airlines is going to buy you an extra drink.
We'll get you a T-shirt. It'll say Bob Hope International Airport, Burbank, California.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I'd be crapping in my pants, man. I mean, I'm not too good with heights to begin with. And then if I looked to my left and I saw nothing but nothing down
Nothing but nothing.
there, I'd have to be. I mean, I'm not all that hip on getting onto a plane anymore, anyway. To be honest with you,
It's a good way to get COVID.
yeah, I just the appeal of flying for me has.
Forget about it.
I mean, I haven't flown in 5 years, almost 4 years, and to be honest with you, I'll if I got to go back east, I'd like to drive. I'll take the 3 or 4 days and just relax, and I don't have to sit next to somebody with stinky feet or stinky hair or stinky thoughts or whatever stinks on somebody. I'm not a fan of flying. I mean, maybe if you bought me a first class ticket, maybe then I'll go.
The person in the last row with COVID will still get it to you through the circulation of the
Yeah,
air.
yeah. Well, the COVID, yeah, the COVID, you're gonna get. I mean, if you fly, you got to think that you might get that. And I'm not hip on getting that either. I mean, be honest with you. All right. Well, I guess is there anything else that we've missed today? We'll know more about spring training on Friday. Everybody's in. Well, not everybody. Pitchers and catchers are in. The good clubs. It was interesting to see that the Dodgers reported like a day early. I don't know what that was all about.
False security that they've sewn it up.
Yeah, and Jorge Soler is going to the.
I'm predicting 49 home runs for Mr. Soler this year. He can prove me wrong by hitting 50, but I'm predicting 49.
Michael, how do you predict that now? I mean, we don't know if Jorge Soler is going to get into camp and he's going to have an injury. Go on the injured list.
Going to show up and have his surgery? Okay.
Yeah, I've been waiting to get signed. I've been waiting for this for how long?
He turned down a $9 million raise with Miami to enter the free agency, and it worked out for him. He's got a 3-year deal with the Giants.
Yeah.
I assume they had a physical.
Well, it's per a source, so it'd be interesting to see. I mean, who knows if the deal is done? I would think before they sign the deal, yeah, they would give him a physical.
Well, the source that I quoted was the Giants themselves, so they must have convinced themselves that he was healthy enough to play.
Here's what I love about baseball now. So they talk about him, and Soler ranked near the top of the league leaderboard in barrel rate and expected slugging percentage.
Expected.
Then you go down a little further, and it says he is a disaster in the outfield. His chase rate and strikeout rate make him a poor fit for the offensive skills that the Giants front office value highest. So
he's there to get hits.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's all with the jargon. It's like now they got to tell you how fast the ball goes out of the stadium.
His chase rate.
Yeah, they got to tell you how. That went out at. I don't care that the ball went out at 93 miles an hour.
Did it get out or not?
Yeah, did it go over the fence? All right, I don't need to know how fast it goes. I don't even really need to know how far it goes. I know it went out over the 410 sign, so that's great.
So you get one for the home run. Is anybody on base? You get a run for each person on base, too.
Well, I'm sure they're going to change that at some point.
Designated. You can have 2 designated runners.
Yeah, you can have a designated runner. You can start somebody at first and third after the 12th inning. I'm sure that the clowns that are running baseball will come up with many more things that they can change about the game. Ever since they screwed it up with replay, reality is who cares anymore? They could have 2 guys on each base. I mean, it's starting not to look like the game.
So the bases loaded means 6 guys on base, 2 at each base.
And 1 standing behind the pitcher who can run just directly home and knock them down on the way, because that's what the kids want to see these days.
The catcher got him. No, he scored. From where?
We spent all that time telling the pitchers not to hit the catchers, not to hit the batters, and now we're going to have a designated hitter standing behind the pitcher and run him over on the way to running to the plate.
It's called the mound runner.
Yes, the retribution player. There you go. We're going to get even with you for all of the people that hit batters over the years.
For everything that Bob Gibson did.
Exactly. We're going to even up the score for Gibson.
Well, Vinnie, I'll see you for a Freaky Friday. What do you say?
Yeah, see you for a Freaky Friday, man. I'm glad we got together. I don't know did we teach anything and anybody anything today?
No, it's like Seinfeld. We don't learn anything, and there are no morals.
Well, we have morals. They're just loose.
No, the moral to the story.
Oh. All right, man. I'll see you Friday if the Lord's willing the creek don't rise.
We welcome
Pete?
Jorge.
Huh?
Welcome to Jorge. Spring training is upon us,
Yeah,
and
welcome to Jorge, and welcome to all the players. Take your physicals, get your surgeries, and let's play ball, man.
get a Cadillac. Don't be a fool.
I don't know. Bentley looks. If you get the kind of money they're getting these days, nobody should be driving less than a Bentley
True enough.
or a tricked out pickup truck.
Or a Hellcat, Dodge Hellcat.
Yeah,
Take that
yeah,
down the strip and try to park for the A's game.
or a Corvette. Yeah, you park that for the Ace game, you'll find nothing when you come out. Remember, Jason Giambi used to have a purple Ferrari. One of the most hideous cars I'd ever seen in my life, man.
A custom paint job that didn't take.
Yeah, it really was. It was a custom. It just didn't look. It just looked so cheap on a Ferrari
Yeah, should have been red.
because it wasn't a good. It wasn't a great paint job. It just looked like somebody took a brush and it just wasn't that good a paint job. Man,
$29.99 at Earl Scheib.
That's exactly what it looks like he did, man. It looks like he didn't prep the car before it went there. You see, the $29.95 job was good if you prepped the car before you went there. You fixed the dents, and you cleaned it all up, put the prep sol on it, and washed it all down, and got it ready. And then you brought it to Earl Scheib, and then they sprayed the car. And really, there was nothing that they could screw up that bad. Except sometimes you would get a paint job back, and there'd be runs on the car,
on the bottom rail.
Yeah, just like around the bottom of the car, they just spray it with so much enamel, and that stuff would just run down to the bottom.
Why is it dripping? Well, we add water to the paint to make it go further.
Well, I mean, what do you want for $29.95? We changed the color.
Earl said, "Right, I'll paint your car for $29.95." Right.
Yeah, I didn't say how I would paint it. I just said I would paint it.
And we did. We painted it.
Earl Scheib. All right, man. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby. Happy Valentine's Day.
What a wine. Happy Valentine's Day.
Spread the love, baby.
True enough.